Hi and welcome to Let's Talk. Today we have with us a very special guest, a woman who's been at the forefront of galvanizing India's battle against sexual slavery. Co-founder of India's largest rehabilitation center, Prajwala. Social activist, anti-trafficking crusader, we have with us Dr. Sunitha Krishnan. Let's talk. You have been instrumental in liberating thousands of women and children from prostitution. Among the multiple responsibilities that you take on, what is the biggest challenge? Is it rehabilitation? Is it financial sustainability? Is it the actual rescue operation? What is your biggest challenge?
I think over the period of time, as we have evolved our interventions, whether we started off with preventing prostitution by educating children of women in prostitution. At that time, that looked quite a big challenge because we were, entering a domain which was totally unknown to us. I started with around 5 children. Today, I run 18 schools with close to 7,000 children. Once that intervention took shape, the rescues started happening. In the beginning, rescues looked difficult, because A, one didn't know how to do it, B, one did not have the right kind of support from the police to actually do it. At that time, the resistance from the mafia and the traffickers looked very big. So over a period of time, one has evolved in challenges. As we went forward from prevention to rescue to rehabilitation, every time we started something new, there was challenges in the beginning. But today, after say 16 years of running the organization and 21 years of working in the community and things like that, I think the biggest challenge is the society itself. The attitude and perception in the society, the stigma and discrimination that exist, the absolute mental blocks that exist in the society. So, end of the day, that is what matters. I can do hell a lot of work getting a girl out of a hellhole. I can bring her out. It's right now, to me, it's a cakewalk. Getting into rehabilitation, a little more challenging, but not impossible. One can even try it out, and one can even succeed in it. But where we fail and miserably fail in terms of, we get completely, it's like you go and crash and land on a wall and not knowing what to do next, is when the society blocks you. End of the day, after everything that you've done, when the girl is rejected by the community, the girl is rejected by her family, the girl is rejected by her society because she came from this background, that to me today is the biggest challenge that I faced.
Okay. You were talking about rescue operations. For us who lead such sheltered lives, how a rescue operation is conducted is way beyond our imagination. So will you describe one typical rescue operation?
I think even if I describe it, it will be way beyond your imagination. Because the whole, you're fighting against an organized mafia, so no rescue is the same. Every rescue is different. So if I describe one rescue to you, it doesn't mean the other rescue would be like that. But having said that, there are certain commonalities of a rescue. You get a tip-off, you get an information from somebody.
Who are typically your informers?
Sometimes it is a former woman in prostitution. Sometimes it's a pimp. Sometimes it's a petty shop owner, running a pawn shop or something like that. Sometimes it's a customer. Different profiles of people. Over the period of time, the kind of people that we have developed and evolved, the information could be real, the information could be fake. I've had instances where I have been trapped, where I have been given an information and I have gone there just to get beaten up and come out. So it becomes imperative that we actually validate the information. So what we do is, once we get the information, we actually send a decoy. We have a team, exclusive team,
For rescue,
who actually goes and verifies whether this information is true or false. So there have been instances where our male staff has gone as a customer, or our female staff has gone as a victim herself and was actually bartered off or traded off to get the thing. So different rescues require different kind of a decoy operation. But the basic idea of a decoy operation is to A, validate the information, whether it's genuine or not. B is to find the location correctly and do a recce in terms of what are the exit and entry points and how do you enter. Suppose you enter, what are the places from where people can escape. So a lot of groundwork happens on that. Once the information is through, that means we are 100% sure that this is the thing. That's when we go in Andhra Pradesh, where I am based out of, we have specialized anti-human trafficking units. So we share the information with our anti-human trafficking unit, and jointly an operation is set up to go and rescue the thing. But even during the rescue, it's a very specialized activity, and that's what I would always tell people, that these are not something very fashionable to get into. It requires training and it requires skills, because once you enter a place of exploitation, the person who will be actually completely hidden from your view is a minor child. There are adult women who are exploited, there are children who are exploited, there are babies who are exploited. So the lower the child age of the person, that higher is the chances of that person being completely concealed. So usually when we go on a rescue, say in a typical red light area, a part of our team is actually crawling on the knees
to find the babies,
to find out whether there are false basements, whether there are false cellars, there is false a roof. There was once this time where we actually found a child inside a false commode. Up to a number of times that we found children in water tanks. So the whole work of an NGO in a rescue operation is to locate the victim. That could be under the bed, under the carpet, under the basement, under the cellar, whatever. But the important thing in a rescue is to do it fast. You can't take your own sweet time to do it, because by the time you think that you have taken out everybody, maybe the child dies out of suffocation and asphyxia. So rescue is a very specialized activity, and no matter how much I describe, I can't really actually do justice to the effort that is done, because there's a whole lot of people who are doing it. There's the police who are targeting the traffickers and the brokers and the criminals, the rescue team identifying the victims. Then there is seizures, and the evidences are seized and those kind of things happening. All the money that is brought out, that has to be kept somewhere. So it's a whole lot of very specialized partnered event.
Your NGO Prajwala is based in Hyderabad. I know you've been asked this question a million times, but I have to ask you this again. Why is it that you're not present in your home state, Kerala?
I think it's just a matter of coincidence. Nothing very planned or strategic. I was born and brought up outside Kerala. I never lived, or my memories of Kerala is more for my vacation rather than, I've never been brought up here. And being born to a family which traveled a lot as a part of the government job that my father had, so we was brought up in different parts of the country and the world. A good amount of my schooling was done in Bhutan and Shillong and things like that. The final station that my father came was Bangalore. And in Bangalore, I became an activist, and I went to the jail in Bangalore. I was in the jail for 2 months, and that kind of made me feel that a lot of my activities are very embarrassing to my family. And that's when I decided to move out of Hyderabad. Move out of Bangalore and move to Hyderabad. And again, no specific reason. It just just God sent kind of a thing, that you Monday decided you want to leave Bangalore. You had no base in Kerala or anything like that, so you had no base in Hyderabad also. But definitely, being a proud Malayali that I am, it has bothered me over the period of time that so much is happening here, and there's hardly any actual holistic intervention to counter that. So that has bothered me, and that was the reason that I actually started intervening in Kerala 3 years back. Started working with the government in Kerala 3 years back, because there's this extraordinarily emotional compulsion that I felt. Because in any other state, you hear, you make a choice whether you can actually respond or not, because you're already doing so much. But with Kerala, it was a little more difficult to make that choice. So, yeah.
We as a community are so insensitive. We pretend not to see, we pretend not to hear, we keep mum when we should be shouting. Is your forthcoming film Ende an attempt to reach out at a larger community?
Definitely. I personally feel that it is not pretension in the community. It's about safety. Everybody wants to live in a safe cocoon. So it makes sense not to hear things or see things or be silent about things. So I wouldn't say society is hypocritical. I would say society wants to remain in their safe zones, which makes sense. But when your own existence is at stake, suddenly you have to start questioning. And what we see in the society and community is that there is a tendency not to personalize issues. You hear a child being sold, it's nice to hear it, it's nice to read it, it's nice to do anything about it, as long as it's somebody else's child, So it's far away there and it doesn't bother you. You can read it and switch off because that's safe. Ende is an attempt to make people personalize this issue. This could be your own daughter. This could be somebody whom you love. This could be somebody you care for. You can't be in a cocoon always. You can't be in an ivory tower and say this can't happen to me. So Ende is a mainstream attempt. And I would say right now it's just an attempt. We are trying our level best to see how we can target the mainstream audience with meaningful cinema which we believe as I as the producer and Rajesh Dutch River as the director, who happens to be also my husband. We both had very strong beliefs that can we do a mainstream cinema without an item number, without all kinds of this violence and masala, can we still present things beautifully and nicely, which is entertaining and yet it provokes you to thinking. The kind of things that we are looking at is, yes, this can happen to me. I'm churned enough to believe that this can happen to anybody around me.
Will you tell us a little about your movement, MAD?
MAD, Men Against Demand, is our effort to work with men. I personally am one of the most blessed persons because I have a fantastic father who has been a great supporter of my vision and conviction, although not very actively and coming out in support, but in his own silent way he has helped me mold my thinking and in a very definitive pattern created my own way to chalk and live my dream. My luck factor continued. I had the best of friends who were men. I have a wonderful husband, and I've believed that not all men are abusers and perpetrators of violence, and that is the foundation of MAD. Where we believe that not all men are rapists, not all men are abusers, not all men are perpetrators. Therefore, the good men of the world need to come together and make a statement and stand and say, no, this is not acceptable to us. when few men are trading children, few men are trading women, few men think bodies of women and children are something which is so saleable that they can use it and throw it. There are huge world of men who say no to it. So MAD is a movement of real men of the world who believe no body is for sale. People ask me, where do I get my energy? To me, the smile of the child is the biggest energy. There are bad politicians, there are good politicians. There are corrupt people everywhere, including NGOs. I'm a first day, first show person. I watch movies. I'm a 100% movie buff.